Tune out now, I guess.
Hopefully by now you've watched the movie and you're back on the video. Don't know how long it took you to pause it. I'm going very ridiculously over the top, and here is the parts that you should wait to hear.
There's 2 killers.
What?
I don't know if you saw it, but there's 2. Unlike all the, or just like all the other movies.
There is actually, there is one where there was one.
True.
And it was the worst one. So, but I like it.
Worst.
Yeah.
Oh, the one time there was one killer.
Okay, yeah. That's
but yeah, there are 2 killers, and there's a certain point in the movie where I'm like, these 2 people are the killers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're obviously the killers, and I was kind of like mad because I was like, this is
Damn,
obvious.
I already figured it out.
But then, like, I ended up getting one of the killers wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, I got one of them right because it was pretty obvious, even though they tease you with it. But I don't know.
The thing is, they thread it through like in all these movies, or not in all these movies, all throughout this movie of like, oh, it could be this person, it could be this person,
and they do it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, they immediately do it.
I know, they don't slow down, and this movie is like, oh yeah, well yeah, it could be you, and they do it the whole movie where
remember
they're like,
in Scream 1 when they're like, Henry Winkler might be the killer.
exactly.
That's how it
Yeah.
feels.
Yeah.
And then, like, we are in spoiler territory. I did make that stupid big scene where we're obviously in spoiler territory. Anyway, I thought it was kind of crazy that in hindsight, they literally give you the one name to the killer immediately, and they end up kind of being able to hide it because you're wondering who the killer is, but they literally tell you that Amber is the killer. It's like a killer. They literally, Amber is calling her, and she's like,
true,
they
yeah, and then her
phone.
the
texting,
phone.
Amber, and then Amber's like, this is not Amber,
Mhm.
or whatever, but it's coming from Amber's phone. So they literally kind of obviously tell you, but you're so used to it being a Scream movie where it's like, but this is going to be this, is this going to be that, what the hell,
Mhm.
and then, but eventually you kind of get a little more clues where you're like, hey, it's gotta be Amber.
Yeah, well, then you really, like, he says, he's like, I got close enough to clone her phone, and it's like, oh, how'd you clone her phone? And it's like, oh, because you guys were dating.
Yeah.
And it's
Oh,
like,
yeah, because they do, and it's not like super obvious like that they're dating, but they were definitely dating.
No,
But
because
yeah,
they
at the
even
end
shit
when
on
they
each other
made
in
it,
part, you know, in part of the movie. They're like, it could be you, and then the other killer's like, it could be you, and it's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and you're just kind of like, because at that point everybody's the killer. You're the killer. You're the killer. You're the killer. So it's not like anyone particularly sticks in your brain. You're just kind of like, oh yeah, that could be the killer, I guess. And you're kind of freaking out about everything individually, but they just keep claiming everyone's the killer to where your mind switches and it's like you have to focus on this person being possibly the killer or not.
I was kind of like I was half like. I was like, I want to figure out who the killer is just so I know who it is. And the other half of me was like, I just want to get to the end whenever they're monologuing.
I
was
know.
like, that's my favorite part of all
I
these
gotta
movies.
get that. Yeah, I gotta get that motive, whatever it is, and I think their motive is really interesting.
Yeah, like
smart. Yeah,
I think it really builds on it, like you were saying earlier. At first when they kind of get into this discussion about The Last Jedi and Star Wars, is the other franchise that I was talking about earlier. You're
Stab 8.
right. Yeah, and they make it very obvious, like then the 8th one, and you're just like, okay, we know what movie you're talking about, but. And at first you're kind of a little resistant to it just because you're like dreading going back to the time in your life where at one point you saw The Last Jedi and you had an opinion on it, good or bad, or you had to deal with people who had a bad opinion or people who had a good opinion, and then you just want to not watch any more movies. So
that is how it makes you feel.
But yeah, so you kind of cringe initially at the thought of going back to a place like that, but at the same time it is a very interesting discussion to have ultimately, and the fact that it plays out so well through this Scream movie, honestly,
Yeah.
it is growing on me the more and more I talk about it.
And like, well, so we watched Scream 4 the other day, and in that one they're up to Stab 6, and it kind of goes back to the passage of time since that was like 11 years ago.
Yeah.
And again, like
that kind of works out.
all that time, like again with the toxic fandom and everything, because Star Wars fans are really, no offense, really vile. It's like, not you. You're not,
I know.
You're not one of them. But like, I mean, that's the thing though. Some fandoms are though. Like, I get why people were pissed off about the last season of Game of Thrones, it was underwhelming. But you know, for them to be like, you need to refilm the last season because it was just dog shit, and it was okay.
Yeah, and
that's kind of what they're, and they were like that with The Last Jedi as well, and
and that kind of does work in that way where it's like, the thing that I appreciated about this movie is that they accept that they made Scream 1, Scream 2, Scream 3, and Scream 4, and they like the fact that that is something that they made. And they put their time and effort into this, no matter what anyone thought of Scream 1, Scream 2, Scream 3, or Scream 4. They understand that it exists, and they're working with it, and they are building on it to make the new Scream. They're not just, like, taking an easy way out where it's like, nope,
no,
this one doesn't count. And, like, I get that. That's not what people are complaining about with The Last Jedi. That's not their complaint. I think a certain aspect of The Last Jedi complaints are justified, but at the same time, I think some people go way too far on both sides with this or that, when in reality, he just made a movie that he wanted to make, and it happened to be a Star Wars movie. And it is a really interesting argument on whether or not he should be allowed to do that, or blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But, like, where do you side with the artist, which I think, if I'm going to side with anybody, I would side with the artist, because it's like that person is actually actively out there doing things and working on stuff, taking risks, doing things like that. While for a fan, all you have to really do is watch. But at the same time,
if you think it's so friggin' easy, why don't you make it? And honestly, I'm gonna say it. Last Jedi is really good. So
it is good.
Okay,
I like it.
He said it. I mean, but yeah, I do like the movie too, though.
It's good.
But half of it is not great.
There are things. Yeah. Okay.
This is about Scream.
Yes.
In that movie Scream, I enjoyed all those killings, like all the killings. What was the killing you were talking about?
Okay, yeah. I didn't know if y'all got it or not. But they probably did do it earlier, but I just haven't watched them in a little bit. Okay. But like the one where like she's watching Stab, and they're like, have they done that?
Oh, well,
not that far.
Not to that, well, because in the first Scream movie, he's behind, he's behind Jamie Kennedy, and then he hears like, it's either like Dewey or the reporter or something. Or no, the reporter's watching the recording of it, but or the cameraman, my bad. But I think it's they hear somebody screaming and then they're like, oh, I'm out. But in this case, they take it.
Yeah, because I thought that was new. Because it seems so stupidly obvious. Where it's like, yeah, that should have been done in Scream 4.
I love that scene because it's like she's watching the movie within the movie that was based on a movie. It's hilarious.
I got so many Matrix 4 vibes during it because I was like, this is so meta.
I love the Easter eggs. There were plenty. I don't know if everybody will notice them.
If you love the 4 Scream movies that came before this and you've seen them more than once and you actually appreciate them, it pays dividends in this movie.
I gotta ask you all a question. Where do you all stand on the Billy Loomis subject?
What do you mean?
The scenes with him.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be a thing. I think that if there's gonna be anyone that's like, what?
Yeah.
It's gonna be that.
No Scream movie has done that before.
The psychotic visions.
Yeah. But at the same time though, it does I'm glad it was there. At first I was like, I'm glad he's here. He looks fine. But I was like, and then they have the payoff at the ending.
I think that's why it works.
Exactly.
If they didn't have that, it would be like, what?
If they were just, which I like, we're 5 Scream movies in. What the hell could the motive be? And they have a good one. They have a good connection to the other movies in that one of the characters is Billy Loomis's daughter. And I wonder, so I thought about this too. Sorry, I'm kind of a Scream dork. So did he cheat on Sydney then? Because
I bet it's because she wasn't putting out.
Yeah, must be. He must have cheated on her because the girl's mom was pregnant in high school, married another dude, in high school. But Billy is with Sydney at the time of his death. So It's just, again,
Definitely
adds to the lore. I think it's really interesting. I don't know.
It was probably a girl that did more than just open up her shirt and let him go down the ladder.
I bet it was that skanko that talks shit about Sydney in the bathroom. I bet it.
Yes, when she's in there.
Think about it. Yeah, there's a scene in the first Scream movie where Sydney's in the bathroom and there's like this total a-hole just talking crap about poor Sydney and how deranged her slutty mother was.
She's probably already full of Billy's love baby at that point.
Exactly, she probably was.
Hate baby, I guess I should say.
I guess in between murdering people, he was boning her, and then he was like, "Oh, Sydney, I love you."
Yeah.
But I'm also gonna murder you because of your mother. Yeah.
Okay, and also, since we're in territory already, what did we think about David Arquette, Dewey?
I was.
Oh,
Yeah. So I was afraid he was gonna Bruce Willis it, and by that I mean he just didn't want to be there. But I thought he had charisma while he was there.
But what about the part where he dies, actually?
Yeah.
I think, the thing is, they literally explain it in the movie. They're like, it wouldn't mean anything if we brought back all these legacy characters and we don't kill one of them.
Yeah, but they kind of do that a little later, too.
Uh-huh.
But, which, obviously, that's the time where they're explaining all this stuff. Blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. But, as it's going on, you're kind of, wondering what the movie's going to turn out to be because you haven't seen it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, when it happens, you have, a lot of different feelings where you're like, yeah, I wanted something like that to happen for this movie to matter because, they do this because it's that is part of these kind of movies where that you feel that. And then, but when it happens, also you're like, well, shit. Now he can't be in Scream 12. It's the rational thoughts and the immediate.
Yeah.
Because you just kind of at this point, if they're all this fun, you just kind of want them to keep making it.
They kind of had to do it.
When they killed the sheriff, I was kind of oh.
Yeah, I know. I liked her too.
I was like, oh, they really are. And they even make the joke in the movie. They're like, no one gives a fuck about the shitty sequels.
Yeah.
And because he's like,
he's
what
like,
about my mom?
My mom was a character in Scream 4.
He's like, no one gives a fuck.
Yeah.
And then she's the first one that gets killed out of them.
I know.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah.
But yeah, no, he was the logical choice. I would be furious if they killed Gail Weathers. She's my girl.
I would not want to be in this house tonight.
No, I couldn't. I mean, that's the thing. As long as it was done with taste. Which I kind of think Dewey's was. He is heroic.
They give him a moment.
Yeah, he is heroic. And then he's kind of a doofus. And then he
eventually it gets to him.
His heart and whatever mind he has, it leads him to his demise.
Yeah, I like that they're self-aware and they know that he's been stabbed 90,000 times.
Exactly. I wrote an essay the other day about all of these movies, and I pointed out, the essay was titled "Sidney Prescott, Girl, You Need to Flee the Country."
The link will be in the description.
Sure. And I also, toward the end of it, I was like, Gail and Dewey should probably consider it too. Because in the first movie, Dewey is stabbed in the back. In the second movie, he's stabbed in the back to the point where he's gushing blood. And then in the third movie, my favorite, he gets this knife thrown at him, but the handle of it clunks him in the forehead and he falls down the stairs. So, okay, to a lesser degree. And then in the fourth one, Emma Roberts clubs him with a bedpan 5 times. I shit you not. So, if anybody, don't get me wrong, Sydney's been stabbed, Gail's been stabbed, they've been shot, but I feel like Dewey was, again, the logical one to die because he's been flirting with death since the first movie, which, let's be honest, they all have, but...
Right. Like they say in the movie, they say, if she survived so many times, or they've survived so many times that it would be ridiculous for them to survive another.
It's true.
They make a joke about that, and it's realistically, somebody's got to die eventually, especially if we're gonna make a movie where it's kind of making fun of the whole legacy character aspect of why we want these movies to continue in a way, but at the same time, the legacy characters aren't that big of a part of this.
No, it is like a passing of the torch.
Which they joke about.
They
too.
do. Yeah, they do.
Time to pass
That's
the
why I
torch.
said it.
Clever.
Yeah, yeah. What I want to know is, who is Sydney married to?
Mark.
Yeah, Mark. But I wonder who it would be. Yes,
Mark.
Sydney
He's
Prescott.
the killer of Scream 6.
Sydney Prescott. Now, let's get her dating history
He
right.
invented Ghostface.
Sydney Prescott's first boyfriend was the killer. The second one was killed. Then she went through a man drought for 3 and 4. But when we see her in this one, she is pushing a stroller with kids that you do not see, but she has them. And then she has 2. And she is happy. She's happy.
And
Yeah.
then somebody kills somebody, and then she comes back.
And she's got to. Come on. I honestly think she likes the thrill of it. I mean,
She's
really,
got to.
she must.
She's never setting foot in that town again.
Yeah. Oh, Dewey's dead. I guess I gotta come back now. Yeah, you did. She did.
I don't want to come back and see Dewey, but when I hear that he's
Dead. Yeah, exactly. Well, maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
no.
since we were talking about the killings and all that, with Amber, how they kill Amber, I don't know if anyone's seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but it is almost the exact same thing as
It
that.
is. It's hilarious. I imagine it was done that way with intent.
It feels like a little bit of like the smallest homage possible.
I know.
To a movie that came out in 2019.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
She literally at one point does the same move where she pulls up a knife and she's screaming with glass all over her face.
before it was revealed that she was the killer, I was like, she looks pretty good for somebody who had a can of dog food thrown at her face, and she was mauled by a dog, and then smashed through a glass door, lit on fire, with a flamethrower. I thought she looked pretty good after all that. Yeah.
It's kind of her thing.
Then it happens again. I don't think she's gonna.
If she shows up in like an office movie, I'm gonna expect her to end the movie going out, burning,
Yeah.
getting busted up.
Only 2 times I've seen her. That was her demise.
she's in a rom-com and she's trying
But she's done it every-
the goofy friend, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this kid,
She's on
so
fire.
good. And she accidentally
We're
sets herself on fire.
Never gonna see that again. We're never gonna see her the same again. I mean, it's like, hey,
It's like Lucille Ball going wah,
Uh-huh.
but now it's gonna be her being set on fire and eaten by dogs and hit in the face with dog food.
And she's looking forward to that.
I'm kind of looking forward to the Elvis movie. That'll be interesting.
She in that?
That'll be
No,
great.
but Tex is in that. Gets his face stomped in.
Oh,
Yeah.
so now everyone from Once Upon a Time dies has to die. the same way.
Nobody's safe.
Oh my goodness.
They're rewriting the Elvis biopic.
What? You're rewriting it?
No. It is Baz Luhrmann though. I mean, nobody's safe.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't safe from Baz Luhrmann, and that includes myself. But that's a different discussion. But anyway, so I guess last episode we pretended like ratings mattered, and so I guess we're gonna continue doing that until we realize that we're kind of ridiculous. But I like attributing a rating to it, so sue me. For me, the whole time in theory I was wondering what I would rate this, but I think ultimately I'm just gonna sit back. I'm going to rate it an 8 out of 10, a solid 8 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
That honestly, I kind of want to give a little bit higher. I kind of want to end up upping it to a 9 eventually. Maybe
Yeah,
if I rewatch
eventually.
it, especially after I go through and rewatch 1 through 4 before I see it again.
Mm-hmm.
Then I might up it to a 9 because I genuinely think that like Scream 1 is the best because it's the original.
Yeah.
And like that's a cliche thing to say, but it's like it came up with everything, so it makes sense. And then, but like honestly, I think Scream 2 and Scream 4 and Scream 5 are all basically on that same level of like these are good ass sequels, and like they're like 8 out of 10s or 9 out of 10s, like all 3 of them. So and like I don't know, but what did you all think?
I agree with you. We see, like, again, if you don't like these movies, that's great. But I really do. And
That's good for you.
This one isn't
yeah.
gonna change your mind.
It is not. No, it really isn't. Like, it's not even worth seeing if you don't like the other movies, because you pretty much you gotta know your shit. And but also you can have fun if you don't.
Yeah, because I don't remember too much from
Mhm.
like plot by plot point from 1 through 4, and it was fun because you knew. All I knew was like it's a Scream movie. They're gonna make fun of stuff. They're gonna make fun of the other movies. They're gonna make fun of the way the movies are today, and it's gonna be a Scream movie where you try to figure out what the killer is.
Mhm.
So but yeah.
I've been watching those other movies for a long time, and so they're like near and dear to my heart. So I don't know where this one rests. However, I do know that I really like it, and I'm also with you. I think I'm like an 8, bordering on a 9. Like when I saw Scream 4, I was a different person. Like it was easier for me to please. Honestly.
Was it?
Yeah, I feel like it
He's
was.
been watching crazy shit since he was 12. So
Yeah.
We're not that different.
Yeah, okay,
But
fair
then
enough.
again, everybody grows
Yeah.
and does have different perspectives. Like
I really
in terms of
enjoyed
what they
it.
thought. So I
But-
agree with you.
Uh-huh,
But
yeah.
don't act like you weren't watching Closer when you were like.
I did
fifth
see that when I was
True.
a 6th grader.
True.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
It's filthy.
You were watching actual movies. I was watching like.
I was watching Space
epic
Jam.
movie and just stuff that
Space
is
Jams.
awful, or just any
Yeah.
real comedy or anything. I was
Mhm.
watching that, but like some of those are good actually because yeah. But anyway, I was pretty much just consuming that. But
Yeah.
this
I-
man.
I would say, it's an 8 or a 9. I have to sit on it, but I really liked it, and I do think it is worthy of those other movies, for sure.
Yeah. Well, mine feels the exact same way. I feel like it's an 8 right now, but it's hard to just, like, I also just want to give it a 9 right now, but it's kind of like, I'll just rewatch it, and then once I rewatch it, I'll be like, okay, yeah, that is a 9.
It's so
kinda
much
how I do
fun.
sometimes.
Like, I mean, that shit is my bread and butter, and I just,
And I ate it up.
I did too. It was a good time.
I didn't know bread could make you fat, though.
Bread makes you fat.
That's what I hear.
Keto.
Since 2010.
Yeah, it just started making people fat. But anyway, so that was the movie. Hopefully, if you have not checked Scream out yet, you are not on this part of the video, but you know, fuck it. If you're here,
Fuck it.
maybe we're going to be posting some more videos, and hope you all are enjoying the channel.
That was indeed a movie, and it was a lot better than our last one.
Yeah, the last one, nobody knew what it was because, no one knew what it was. That's why. And it was also called the 355, so you're not
I
really
think
going to want to look into it.
I think it's historic.
It's an important film.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
historic.
yeah. I forgot it as I was watching.
No, hey, we saw it 2 days ago. I remember it.
I really don't.
My brain.
Morocco, Bing Bing had a stick.
Penelope Cruz.
Yes, yeah. Good outfits and wigs. Alright, it's come back to me now.
Okay, and this is for a certain viewer out there, but in the Scream, Courtney Cox honestly does run this cougar town. She runs up and down the cougar town.
That cougar town.
Yeah, she ran the cougar town
It was a
tonight.
good show.
She ran it. But anyway, that was a movie. I hope you all enjoy our little discussion, and we'll see you soon.